the Mademoiselle, and this is the wrong intro. Allô, oui, bonsoir. I'm the Mademoiselle, and ça c'est deuxième channel, and I promise you, I do not do the wrong intro on purpose. If I swim fail, okay? I just be filming a lot sometimes, and I'll be bouncing back and forth from what I film for different channels, and yeah, I'm confused. So just in case you're not, make sure you guys go subscribe to the main channel at The Mademoiselle, where I do reactions, talk about social issues, and most importantly, give advice to those who need it. Aujourd'hui, nous allons parler de Restavek. We're going to be talking about the Restavek problem / non-problem of Haiti. Now, this is why I say problem / non-problem, because this is a very, very touchy subject. Just to let you guys know, I mean absolutely no disrespect by anything I'm going to say in this video. And also everything I'm saying in this video is very, very subjective. And I'm gonna say that because I've seen a lot of people get really upset about this topic on both sides, both negative and positive, or both pro or con Restavek culture. For those who are unaware, a Restavek is typically a child who is from a poorer or less fortunate region of Haiti, who is sent by their parents or family to live with a more affluent, less poor family in order to obtain a better life. Sometimes the parents are paid off by this more affluent family to keep this child, and then the kid is expected to do house chores or run whatever type of servitude it is that that affluent family needs in the household. Sometimes they're paid, not all the time. Like, there's very few times that they're paid, but a lot of times they're not, and it's just in exchange for servitude. But regardless, these families that take in these children are expected to clothe these kids, provide shelter, feed these kids, and most importantly, sometimes actually put these kids in school. Now, you guys may wonder, well, why would they do that? If you've been watching my channel, you would know I talk a lot about Haiti, the culture, the politics, the social issues, etc. And most importantly, the poverty in Haiti. The poverty in Haiti makes life extremely difficult for its everyday citizens, which of course would make it very, very hard for them to take care of their children. A lot of people would probably sit there and be like, well, why are they having kids if they know they're in a horrible situation? Honestly, there's a lot of people in Haiti who are actually in very good situations, just like those of us here in regular countries, okay, in the best country in the world, and sometimes things just happen. You fall into horrible situations. Haiti does not have a very stable money-making situation for a lot of people, so there's times where people end up having kids and they don't have resources. A lot of these people end up having kids because many times they do not have access to safe sex practices. They don't have access to condoms. They don't have access to abortions and stuff like that. So most of the time they're, forced to have this kid essentially, and they try their hardest, and sometimes their hardest is just not good enough. And a lot of people would just much rather have the opportunity of giving their kid a better life by giving them away to another family in order for them to be taken care of. Now, of course, I wouldn't be sitting here making this video if this was one of those situations that was cut and dry. Give your kids to another family, they get a better life, whoop-de-whoop, everybody wins. There are a lot of Restaveks in Haiti that actually end up going through severe abuse, emotional, physical, and even a lot of times sexual. There are a lot of Restaveks who have been thrown into human trafficking and never seen again. There's a lot of them that are not given an education. There are a lot of them that are mistreated by their host families, especially in terms of them being treated completely differently from the kids in the household. Now, you guys are probably wondering, like, okay, but it's not their kid. But the whole idea of having a Restavek or hosting a Restavek is that you take them in like your own. It's kind of like a mini underground illegal, but the government knows about it type of adoption situation. Now, this is not to be confused with slavery. I feel like a lot of people compare this to slavery, which, to be honest, a lot of kids kind of end up in a situation where they could end up in conditions that are very similar to slavery, if not worse than slavery, to be quite honest. Let's be real here. However, it is not the same in the essence of when you're giving your kid away to this family, there is not really like a legitimate contract. The family does not own the child, and the child actually has every right to up and leave if they want to. The problem is, like I said, we're talking about Haiti here. Haiti does not always have a stable form of communication due to a lot of things going in and out, such as electricity, internet service, and stuff like that. And plus, these are kids we're talking about. And a lot of times these families come from low income areas, like the poor of the poor. This is usually people that come from like the outskirts of Haiti that are going to the urban areas or the well-off parts of Haiti to drop their kids off. So a lot of times their parents that are way off wherever don't have access to them. They don't have cell phones. They don't have stable internet connection, stable electricity type of shit. Not here where, you know, everyone just has electricity all the time. There are times where electricity comes on a certain time, comes off a certain time, etc. So it's one of those things where a lot of times these kids get dumped off wherever and they have no one to turn to because they can't get into access with their real families. So that also creates a problem. Another thing is a lot of Restaveks are actually usually released by the time they're about 15, 16, because at that point, according to the law, they have to be paid for whatever servitude they're doing. And of course, you know, they're not about to pay these damn kids. So you avoid your day, you know, they sitting on the street, they end up homeless, they end up in even worse situations. And even worse, there are times where there's like these middlemen that are hired to like place these kids in adequate homes. This is low-key like a mixture of a lot of shit depending on how you think about it. You can probably see it as slavery. You can see it as sex trafficking in some cases. You can see it as an even exchange, an underground adoption. Honestly, all of these things are horrible things realistically depending on how you look at it. And I honestly didn't know about this until my homie Pearl, shout outs to you if you're watching this. I did a video with Pearl talking about voodoo stories, but one thing that Pearl used to do was pageants, and she did like a Haiti international type of pageant situation. And as you guys all know, when you do a pageant, you have to pick a cause. And her cause was Restaveks in Haiti, and she had an event, and she asked me to host the event. She asked me to be MC. And honestly, this was a very hard event to MC, okay? Not only was everybody late because that's what Haitians do, but a lot of Haitians, when they found out what her cause were super duper upset. And I could not for the life of me understand why until after I left the event and I actually heard everyone's concerns. And what's very interesting is a lot of people have the concern of, well, I don't like the fact that she's painting the Restavek situation to be bad because I have Restaveks in Haiti. Mwen gen Restavek en Haiti. Mwen okipe Restavek mwen kom ti moun mwen toujou voye kop bali. I always send money to my Restavek. I take care of my kid like they are my own. So I do not appreciate how she's trying to make the Restavek situation look like a negative one. And when I'm telling you, I kid you not, almost every single audience member felt that way. And I was just sitting there like, oh, is it really that deep? I'm telling you, I was so ignorant to this, but I was also like definitely in college. I was like beginning of college. And like, it was just such a sticky situation because you know how Haitians are. Like they can't hide their emotions for shit. So a lot of them just sat there in the audience like, and I'm just like, whoosh, miss on me. I like go on for shit. Like they were so upset, but honestly, I understand it. But I also think that just like anything else, you need to be able to have an open mind to understand why people may be opposed to something that you're doing, even though you're not the one doing the wrong thing, right? So even my family takes in a good amount of Restaveks, and particularly my aunt. She loves taking in kids, okay? Like, she's not rich, but she has a lot more money than a lot of people in Haiti. She does commerce, stuff like that, like she sells stuff. So she takes in a lot of kids and she takes care of them like their own. Like, I have so many Restaveks in my family that I, at this point, think that a lot of them are related to me, and they're like not related to me, but I think they're related to me because that's how much they regard them as my own family. Like, they send them to school, they feed them, they bathe them, like, I'm telling you, it'd be like, I don't even know the difference between the Restaveks and my family. And that's honestly how it's supposed to be. But there are people out there that rape these kids, that treat them like little fucking Sitanis. If you guys don't know what Sitanis is, it's Haitian Cinderella. Okay, that's what Sitanis is. Basically, plain simple and put. They're making the kid cook, they're making the kid clean, they are beating the hell out of them, they're not treating them equally, they're not enrolling them in school. If they are, they're enrolling them in like less superior type of schools. Like, now I kind of understand where the mismatch comes, because a lot of people are like, this is horrible, people should not be giving their kids away or selling their kids no matter how poor they are. But then there's a lot of people that are like, honestly, I have no problem taking in these kids. I've taken in kids before. I've had absolutely no problems with them, and they have definitely been like children to me. Y'all, this has always been something I've been like about, because I understand the need, okay? So comment down below, what do you think? Like, if you were in that situation, would you rather just give your kid to another family? To be honest, I don't think I would. I understand why people do it. I don't think I would, because realistically, y'all already know how I'm set up, especially if you're from my main channel. Okay, so if I gotta take care of Timono, I've always been like that. Point blank period. If you cannot take care of the kid, if you cannot take care of the kid's needs, if you cannot take care of a kid, don't have a kid, point blank period. That's always been my viewpoint on things. But I understand in Haiti and other third world type countries, things will be extremely different. You can't expect everyone in the country just not to reproduce, right? Like, if I was in that situation, like in America, and I had the option to give them away, hell no, for the simple fact that I don't know who that person is. I don't know what they may or may not do. I don't know the intent that they have with this kid. Like, it's just too many unknowns, especially if it's like I'm from a rural area where I won't be able to call this kid every day. Like, it's just ridiculous. A lot of these kids end up homeless in the street and like literally hopelessly and aimlessly trying to find their families in these rural parts of Haiti. And what's even more interesting is like a lot of people like to advocate that, you know, they take care of their Restaveks and which is great, and I'm sure a lot of them do. But when you really think about it, there's so many Haitian movies based on Restaveks, and I didn't even peep this until I got older. Like, there's a lot of them, and it's like always a horrible story, and it's like, it is a movie, right? It is a sketch, whatever, but it's like, I mean, where'd they get these movies from? Like, they didn't get these storylines from nowhere. These are things that are actually happening. These are things that are actually taking place to these kids. A lot of these kids are being abused and used up just because they've been brought into this world in a disadvantaged situation. And I just genuinely do not think that's okay. Like, I don't know. I just feel like it's just too many unknowns. Now, granted, a lot of people usually give their Restaveks to like family that is more affluent. Typically, it's not like strangers, but a lot of them do give their kids to strangers. According to a 2009 study done by the Pan American Development, a lot of these Restaveks are actually expected to do work equivalent to an adult's workload, and they are not given enough hours to sleep or rest. And it's just like really disheartening. Funny enough, there was another study done in 2002 that basically said that these Restaveks were able to sleep longer, they received less beatings than the children of the host family, and about 60% or more actually had attended school and had their own bed or mat to sleep on. So, I mean, I don't know. When it comes to Haiti stats, sometimes you gotta be a little weary. Like, we don't know what's true. We don't know what's not. We don't know. Like, I don't know. Especially when it comes to the Restavek situation, I feel like a lot of people are trafficking these kids because it would be like extremely easy to do so. And there's a lot of kids that just end up disappearing in Haiti that just no one likes to talk about. Like, personally, I just don't see how I would do it. But I can genuinely understand from another person's perspective, if you were living in Haiti and you really couldn't take care of your kid, you would probably do everything you can to make sure this kid had a better life. Crazy enough, I saw a lot of studies and reports that said that Restaveks actually receive horrible treatment, like on a way larger scale that we will ever be able to understand or genuinely know. And I genuinely believe this because it's like, this is something that's very underground, but like everyone knows about. Luckily, the government has been allegedly trying to keep up with it. There's been numerous foundations started in order to combat Restaveks and help those who have been victims or those who are like, you know, trying to get out of it or trying to find their families. Now, the estimated number of Restaveks in Haiti range from 100,000 to 500,000 children. That's a lot. That is ridiculous. That's an insane amount of kids. That's wild. What's very interesting is they did a door-to-door survey in 2002, and they found that over 59% of Restaveks under the age of 17 were girls. That is insane. Very insane. It's like, y'all keeping y'all boys, but y'all giving y'all girls away. I see you. But at the same time, I don't understand how they would stop that, because the entire reason that these people are giving their kids away is because they're not being provided with the adequate resources in order to survive. Haiti has extreme corruption, extreme poverty, extreme shit. Everything under the damn sun, let's be real. Like, for real. As much as I love Haiti, I love the culture, I love the people, we need to understand and we need to all acknowledge that Haiti definitely has a serious problem. And one serious problem leads to another serious problem, leads to another serious problem that a lot of us don't even really think about on a daily basis. Man, this shit is underground but overground, looked around, all around, and nobody says much about it, but this is like really a serious problem. Like I said, I'm not trying to disrespect anyone, so comment down below. Do you have any Restaveks in your family? Have you taken one in? Have you given your child away to one? I'd love to hear your stories down below. What do you think can be done to rectify this issue? Do you feel like it can be rectified? What would you do if you were in the situation of having to give your child away in source of a better life? Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, do all that, get your merchandise. Everything you need is down in the comment section or in the description box down below. And I'm gonna see y'all next time.